So we've got an example slide here that we're going to learn to make. This can be completely tailored to whatever pictures you want or whatever color scheme you want, and it's quite simple, but it's a bit of an interesting way to present a couple of paragraphs worth of text. So the next time you have a couple of bullet points, a couple of points you want to make, and you want to present that in a way that catches some attention when it's up on the screen, this might be the slide for you. So we're going to start off with a blank slide. It's the easy way to do this, obviously, and we're going to make sure there's nothing on it at all. I've gone for a white background, but you're more than welcome to choose a different coloured background. Now, what I've done is I've had to make a custom shape that sits on the side. So you see here, this sort of square shape that cuts off on the edge of the slide. This is what my picture is inside, and we're going to learn to make that first. It doesn't have to be perfect, so we're going to have a little play around with it until we find a shape that we like. We're going to start out with a square, which I've just grabbed from the top, and then we're just going to rotate it until we kind of get the shape or angle that we like. Now, that looks alright to me, but it's difficult to tell because the slide is behind. We don't know how it's going to look when it's just been cut off. So what I've done is I've gone to the Format Shape section on the right hand side here. So to do that, you right click the shape and you go down to Format the Shape in the corner. What I want to draw your attention to is the transparency bar. So we're going to make this semi-transparent. So we're doing that just helps us, right? So we can see the slide behind our shape. We're going to position that where it kind of looks alright. I reckon that looks pretty good, so we're going to leave it there. Right, so we are going to fill this area that is overlapping on the shape with our picture. But how do we do that? So we're going to have to crop this shape. How do we crop this shape? Easy. So we're going to get another shape. We're going to get a rectangle. So you go to Insert Shape and Rectangle. And then just draw a shape covering the entire slide. Okay, so it should lock to position, so it should be pretty easy to do. All you then need to do is click on the shape that you just created, the one that's the same size as the slide, hold Control key and click on the shape you made previously, the square that's been rotated, and that should select the two of them. Then you go up to Drawing Tools, where it says Format, you go to Merge Shapes in the left hand side there, and you want to click on Fragment. You can click on a few others, but Fragment's the most useful. We're going to want it to look like this. So you can click on Intersect to save a bit of time, but I'm going to do Fragment because that's a useful one for me to do as well. So you click on Fragment, and what that does is all of those lines that cut over each other, it makes an individual shape. So you can see this bit here, that's a new individual shape. This bit over here, that's a new individual shape as well. And this, the bit that we actually want to keep, that's a new shape too. So I've used Fragment Shape because it's really useful. I recommend using it for a lot of other things. So Fragment Shape, remember that. Okay, so we've got our shape here, and we want to fill it with a picture, don't we, right? So how do we do that? Now, there are lots of places online to find royalty-free images, and I'm going to draw your attention to my favourite. We're going to go to Pexels. Now, I did something for snowboarding, so let's pick, I don't know, let's pick something different. Let's pick London. So we're going to click on a picture of London. And we're going to have a look, and we can find some pictures we like. I like this one here of a telephone box, so we're going to click on that. We're going to click download, and it should download into my browser down here. Now all I do then is I drag and drop into the slide. Now how do we make that the same shape as that blue shape we've just created? Easy, right? Control X, so you cut it. So you cut the shape out, or you can copy it. You click on the shape you want that picture to go into. In those Format Shape options on the right hand side, you'll see underneath Fill, Picture or Texture Fill. Click on Picture Fill, right? So you'll see it'll fill with a picture. That's not the picture we want, that's the last picture I copied and pasted. So instead, you click on Clipboard, because the picture we've chosen has been cut and it's in our clipboard. So click Clipboard, the picture we want is in there. Unfortunately, our telephone box has been half cut off the slide, and we don't want that, right? So we want to move the telephone box into the view a little bit better. So click on Picture Tools up in the top, where it says Format. Go over to the side where it says Crop. Now we're not going to crop. These are those black lines you can see, but you can see it's got the whole image available for you. So where it's gone grayed out, they're the bits of the image that are not showing. So we're just going to drag it around until we're happy with it. You know, you can resize it if you want as well. So I think you know, I'm pretty happy with that. And I'm done. Just click anywhere, and we've got our shape. Now, on my one, I've put a color overlay. So we're going to do the same. Now, the easiest way to do that is to copy and paste the shape. You can see that it's like 2 telephone boxes. We don't want that. So we're going to fill that with our color overlay. So go back to those fill options in format picture and click on gradient fill this time. Now, I've already got my colors already picked on that previous slide, so it fills it with the most recent gradient I've used. You're going to want to pick some colors that you like as well. So I'm going to show you another tip. So we're going to go back to Google, right? And we're going to go onto Google Images. Now, in Google Images, I've searched for color palette, and you can see the color palette I took previously. There are loads of example color palettes here that you can take as your inspiration. Okay, so pick one that you like. So let's pick, I don't know, this one here. Building your color palette. You can see there's even more options below it. I actually quite like this one. Let's pick this one here. So this color palette that's opened, we are going to copy that image and we're going to paste it into our deck. Okay, it's quite big. Let's make it a little bit smaller. There we go. And I'm just going to make it convenient. And I'm going to chuck it over on the side there. So it's off our slide, right? But those colors are in our PowerPoint now that we can use. How do we use them? So back to that shape, that format shape, and go back to fill and then fill gradient. We're going to pick the color that we like. So at the bottom, that yellow bit, I want you know, a darker, bright color. So let's pick the green. All right. So what you do is you click on this bit here, this little triangle on the gradient area. You change the color. So you click on the color paint box. But you go down to eyedropper, it's this little pipette. So click on the little pipette. Now you see your cursor changes to this pipette. It means that anywhere on the screen, on your slide that you click, it will pick the color that you clicked on. So I'm going to click on the green because that's what I wanted. So I've clicked on green. I want to make it semi-transparent. So I'm going to make it around about here, that'll do. And the second color, I'm going to do exactly the same, pick another color from my new color palette. Let's pick on the orange, right? So I'm pretty happy with that. Let's move that on top of here to have a little look. It looks okay. Let's have a little play around with those transparencies. I want a little bit more orange compared to green. That looks pretty good. Let's have a little play around with the angle. So that looks good enough to me. You're more than welcome to choose your own colors and play around with those gradients as much as you want. So that's done. That bit's done. That's our picture. We can have a little look back on the previous slide. I've put box here with a bit of a color gradient on it and put some text in that. Let's do that bit next. So we're going to go to insert, and it's a simple shape. We're going to insert a rectangle. Okay, so we're going to draw roughly where we think it's going to be. Don't worry about it overlapping the shape, but that looks about right. Okay, we're going to right click the shape and we're going to go to send to back. Okay, now that puts it behind the shape we previously made. That's the last thing on the slide. Everything else will be on top of that. Right. So that's our shape. It doesn't look right, okay? And also, is it in the middle? Doesn't look like it. Probably got a bit more space on the top than we do on the bottom. So we're going to click the shape, right? We're going to go to arrange, and then we're going to go to align, and we're going to choose align middle. So we're going to align it in the middle, so it moves up a little bit, not a million miles. I'm going to get rid of the border. I don't like the border, and I'm going to make a nice gradient for it to sit on. So I want, I don't know, a straight gradient like that. I want different colors from my new shiny color palette. I want a blue, and I want, let's add the green as well. So we're using the same trick that we used before. We're going to play around with it until we get the desired appearance. I quite like that. That's what we're going to pick. So there we go. That's our shape. That's that done. We're going to insert our text now. Simple. Insert, text box. And then you drag and drop the text box where you want. Now this come up with a basic font, probably not the font you're going to want. So we're going to add a nice subtitle or something here. Your text goes here. And I'm going to copy and paste that a couple times just so you get the appearance. Now I press Control A, and I've selected that text. I'm going to make it bold. I'm going to put it into my desired fonts. Now I really like Mark for MC narrow, so I'm going to click that, and I'm going to make it a little bit larger. So I'm going to click this A with an arrow next to it. Okay, and I want it to be kind of white, and also let's make it italic. There we go. It's like a quote. So if you've got a quote from a customer, put it here. Now it looks good. You know, you can also in the text options make it semi-transparent. So in your format shape, where it had shape options, which is what we used before, you might now see text options. So click on text options. The A with the block underneath it, you can change the colors of your text. So you can pick a different color, but you could also make it semi-transparent. So we're going to do that. We're going to have a little play around with the transparency. I actually think, no, I'm going to go for 0% transparent, so it's completely opaque. We're going to leave it like that. The title, similar story, drag and drop our text box. We're going to put our main title here. So it's going to be your title here. Simple. Control Alt, bold it, and I'm going to put it into my desired font. I'm going to make it nice and big. I'm going to right align it. I want it even bigger. I want this a nice attention-grabbing title. And I'm going to put it like that. I'm going to make the font color one of my color palettes. How do I do that? So I select the text. I go to the font color at the top. Click on the eyedropper, and I can pick and choose the colors that I like. So I'm going to pick one of my color palette to complement my color scheme. I'm going to go for the dark blue. I also want a subtitle, so I'll tell you the easiest thing to do. Copy and paste that text box. We're going to put it slightly underneath. We're going to make the font a little bit smaller, and we're going to type a subtitle there. Make it a little bit smaller again. And I want my subtitle to be a different color, so we'll repeat that process and we'll make it green. Now, I want subtitle and your title here to be aligned with each other, right? Because I want them to be nice and neat and in a row. So we're going to click on them both. So you see that, like I did earlier, control click on both, go to arrange, right? And instead of going to send to back and all of that kind of stuff, we're going to go down to align, and we're going to click on align right. And they should both go to the far right of whatever one is on the furthest right. So now they're nice and neat and in a row with each other. They'll look a lot more professional, a lot neater. We've also got a text box to add. Should be pretty simple. So we have got our basic text. I'm going to copy it from here just to save a bit of time. Whatever your text is, you can enter a text box and put it in, or you can copy and paste from elsewhere. I'll put my text here, and I'm going to right align that as well. We're going to arrange it with one. Now, one of the things you would have seen on my previous slide, I put a little icon and a little shape here. So I'm going to do this last, and this is another important little trick on PowerPoint. So what we're going to do is we're going to find a shape that kind of goes in that corner. Now, it doesn't have to be perfect. Probably won't be perfect in my video because I'm doing this quite quickly, but I'm going to pick a shape that I quite like, which is this one here. So you'll see that in the options there's a lot of squares with various curves and sort of diagonal corners and so on. I've picked the one that's got a curved corner and a diagonal corner. Now see the little yellow line, or the little yellow box that I picked on? That allows you to make the diagonal different sizes on that shape. I don't want a diagonal, so I'm going to move it all the way to the far right hand corner. But I do want my curve to be a bit bigger, so I'm going to click on the other little yellow box. And I'm going to make my curve a little bit more pronounced. I don't want border. I want this to be a little bit smaller, so I'm going to click on it and hold shift when I'm making it smaller so that it stays as a nice square. And then I'm going to rotate it until it matches my shape. Now, remember that trick before about transparency? We're going to do the same again. I want to make sure this is perfect. So what I'm going to do is position that roughly where it needs to be. And then I'm going to zoom in as close as I can to get it absolutely spot on. So you can see I'm a couple of degrees off, right? So I could, if I wanted to, I could click this little circle button and rotate it and fiddle about with it. Now it looks about right. Or in the format shape options, you will see size and properties as one of your options. You could click on that, and in size you will find rotation, and you can be really precise. You can move it up and down by a single degree each time. So I think that might be about right. Maybe I'm a degree off. No, I'm about right. So we're going to put it like this. And I think that looks pretty good. We're going to go back to the fill to make it completely non-transparent. Oh, that's the wrong way. We're going to make it non-transparent, and we're going to zoom back out. Looks about right. Might be a bit big, so we're going to resize it holding shift, and that looks a little bit better. We're going to fill it, pipette, and we're going to use one of the colors on our color scheme. Let's go for a yellow. We haven't used the yellow. Great. So we've got our slide. We need our font. We need our logo. Now our logo, okay, you might have one already. It might be one on a previous slide. I'm going to show you a great place to find these icons. So we're going to go to the Noun project. You can see on that previous slide I used the snowboarding guy. We're not using snowboarding anymore, we're doing London, right? So we're going to click on London. We're going to find something we like as an icon, and we're going to put it there. I quite like this one of the London Eye, so I'm going to click on that. I'm going to click on get this icon, basic download, continue, and we're going to click on SVG. Now it's important, SVG. SVG gives us the ability to change the color, give it a border, and if it's multiple shapes, move the multiple shapes around within the actual icon itself. However, PowerPoint can't use SVG files, so I'm going to introduce you to another website which is really useful, and that is Cloud Convert. I used it earlier. What we do is we open Cloud Convert after we've downloaded our icon, and we simply drag the SVG file into Cloud Convert, and we convert to EMF, which you'll find in the vector options. EMF is a more familiar file format to PowerPoint, but it's basically the same. It's a vector. It means you can change the icon colors and border. We're going to click download, it should only take a second, and then we're going to drag that into our cool new slide, anywhere onto the screen. And you can see it goes down here. Now, here's a little trick. At the moment, you can't change the color of that. So here's the trick. You click on it, and you want to ungroup it. Now, if you were to right click and go to ungroup, you won't see the option to do it sometimes. So if that happens to you, I've got the option to ungroup it. If this happens to you, click on the shape, press Control, Shift, and G. Control, Shift, G ungroups. So if that doesn't show in your options, do that. Do the shortcut key for it. You'll get this error message, I've never read it. Just click yes. What that will do is it will turn it into shapes files for you. So ungroup it a few more times until you've got absolutely everything as an individual shape. Get rid of the bits you don't want, like the person's name who created this. I will leave their name in the comments, and then you're left with purely your shape, which you can resize, you can refill. Sometimes it will already have a border assigned to it, so I'm going to get rid of my border. I don't want that, and I'm going to resize it, and I'm going to put it where I want it to. So I've got a whole wealth of icons available to me. I'm going to pop it there. That looks about right to me. Now your slide is now done. On your other slides, use the same color palette. It will keep your whole deck consistent and professional. But for now, I'm just going to get rid of that. Now, if you were to view it, press Shift and F5, which will go into presentation mode for the current slide. That is your slide that you've made, and that took about 5 minutes, and that is infinitely more attractive and professional than showing a slide with some bullet points. It's a picture, it's an icon, it's some color gradients, and we've got some really simple rules around aligning the title and the text, and using a semi-transparent gradient to add a little bit of interest to it. These are really simple tricks. You can use them on any number of shapes. Next time, try a circle and put it over on the right hand side instead of having your text white on a dark background. Try dark on a white background. Who knows, you can play around with it. It's a very simple formula. A nice interesting shape, fill it with a picture, add a color gradient, and you're done. It's simple. Hopefully that's been useful for you. Create this slide exactly as you see it here today, to try it out and learn it, and then try something different. And if you like what you've seen here, do remember to subscribe, do remember to click that button to subscribe, and I will continually post new tutorials, and I will also share free slides, free templates. You'll find this one in the download link below. Hope you enjoyed. Thanks very much.